Right now at 5, a nonprofit organization plans to turn an abandoned school into a daycare center.
We're a little bit chillier as we start our day today. However, we've got some changes to bring all that.
And a doctor from PSU gets honored with a high-ranking award.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. We're having a little technical difficulty with this thing. So it's really going to play, it's going to play havoc with our temperatures. So some of us are going to be a little bit warmer today, others will not. So we're looking at temperatures crawling up through the 40s. Clouds will begin to increase through the morning. We'll still have some gusty winds, say pushing about upwards of, say, 20, 25 miles an hour. Now I think in Joplin, we're going to reach a high of 52. Some of us to the south may go a bit warmer. Some of us to the northwest may go a little bit cooler. It's going to depend on the placement of this cold front. We're going to drop down to 31 this evening. Now that 6 p.m. icon, I apologize, didn't get that changed. It should be mostly cloudy. We could see some scattered showers and thunderstorms along and south of I-44 later tonight. And here's the positioning of that cold front I wanted to show you. So if you are, depending on how it plays out through the day, we will be a little bit colder, and then we'll have some of us that will be a little bit warmer. And then as we head into the overnight, believe it or not, we could see some light snow in some of our northwestern counties. There, we got that fixed. I told you we'd work it out. We've got some amazing people here, and we can solve just about any problem. So the rain possible again between about 9 and 11, maybe up to midnight tonight. And then we could see some light snow in our northwestern counties as we head into the overnight hours. So we'll give you a much better weather forecast that's a little clear here in just a moment. But let's take a quick look at the 7-day. 52 again, I think today. Some of us may not make it out of the upper 30s, lower 40s, down to 31 tonight, 35 on Thursday. And we'll start to again see that gradual warming trend as we head into next week, and then we'll watch some additional shower chances late Monday and as we head into Tuesday. Again, we'll have a much more complete look at your forecast a little later. Now, Tanya, back to you.
All right, thanks, Chris. On Tuesday, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced a new set of Family First prevention grants totaling nearly $20 million. The money will go toward creating and growing programs designed to keep families together and preventing children from entering the foster care system. Family First prevention programs have helped more than 3,000 Kansas children remain with their families. A baseball stadium in Carthage closes because of safety concerns. The Carl Luton Stadium in Carthage has been home to the Carthage Tigers baseball program for more than 50 years until now. Carthage's city engineer declared it unfit and unsafe for occupancy due to situations with black mold, electrical wires exposed, and other structural hazards.
We had received a call from the city regarding what they believe is unsafe. It's something I think everybody recognized. It has been like that for many years, but for some reason the city determined at this point the best thing is to shut it down.
The kids can still practice on the field. We just can't have any of the general public or spectators in up and around on the stands and in the building in any way.
They do not have much time to find a place to play. The baseball season starts next month. Well, a nonprofit organization has plans for an abandoned school in Pittsburgh. Washington School has been vacant and abandoned for decades, and it will now be repurposed into a daycare. Nonprofit organization Point Forward is addressing the critical shortage of childcare options in southeast Kansas. The nonprofit plans for redevelopment will cost $5.5 million.
There's been a school on that property since 1887. The building has been a salvage yard since about the last 50 years. So we've been in recent months cleaning it up, getting it ready for renovation. Architects and engineers are nearly done with the schematics.
After the redevelopment, the nonprofit will hand the daycare to a local organization for operations. The American College of Physicians recognized Pittsburgh State University physician with the high-ranking award of mastership. Dr. Kathleen Sandness is grateful for the award, but her pride comes from working with students and the staff at PSU's Health Center. She attributes her success to her willingness to learn and adapt.
As would any physician, especially as we see more and more students that have had things like heart transplants. They've had lymphomas, bone marrow transplants. So it's a more difficult patient population many times in a health consideration.
The Mastership Award is the highest attainable award for college physicians. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Joplin takes on COC rival Webb City. We'll have Who Won on the court with Chris in sports. Plus, a police department in Florida relaxes its tattoo policy, allowing more officers to not only join the force, but get tattoos. And did you fall in love with your significant other at first sight? A psychologist says that it may not really be love at first sight. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
All season. The first of those 5 was last night at home against COC rival Webb City. Joplin has won 5 out of 6 coming into the night. Webb City trying to snap a 3-game skid. Off the opening tip, Holton Keith right to the basket. He scores 23 to lead Webb City. Other end, Whit Hafer, huge game. He hits 5 threes and finished with 23 points and 7 rebounds. It's tied after 1. Second quarter, Alex Martin cutting to the rim. Off the window, Martin gets 15 for the Cardinals. Terrence Gibson working inside. Gibson gets 27. Joplin leads at half. And they would finish it off. All right. Tough shot goes. He scores 13 with 5 assists. Back to Gibson, though. One-handed jam. Joplin gets a big win over Webb City, 81-64. Carl Junction, it's senior night. CJ girls ranked number 1 in the state, facing Neosho. Sophomore Desi Williams, good early for Carl Junction. First quarter, Williams steals and heads the other way for the easy lay-in. Then late in the first, she's open on the far side. 3 is good. Williams 12 in the first half and 14 for the game. Second quarter, Destiny Berge, strong drive and finish. She scores 24. Then Chloe Burke open for 3. Bulldogs up big at half. Third quarter, Allie Shorter, she's going to get in on the action. Deep ball from the corner. Kylie Scott gets a deep ball of her own. Scott scores 15 in this one. Carl Junction rolls by Neosho on senior night, 74-31. Now to the boys. CJ trying for a sweep on senior night. Bulldogs scored first, but then Kale Smith gets going for Neosho. Tough shot there. Then in transition, knocks it in off the window. Smith scored 8 straight for Neosho in the first. Carter Bosley, working in the lane. I don't know how he got it off, but he did. Neosho leads by 9 going to the second. 2 teams trade shots in the second. Aiden Bard fights for the board, makes his way back to the basket for 2. Other end, Carter Finsky is going to step out. Hit the 3 ball for Neosho. The Wildcats beat CJ 64-47. They're now 18-5 overall this season. Missouri Southern Lions are off to a 6-2 start to the baseball season. Over the weekend, the Lions went on the road and dropped 2 of 3 against Delta State. Southern tries to rebound, returning home for a non-conference game against East Central. In the first, Lions right to work with runners on the corners. Ethan Clark drives it off the fence in right. Henry Kuziak scores. Here comes Will Doherty sliding in behind him. Southern already up 5-0. Later in the inning with 1 on, Nate Myskowski high and deep to left center. Clears the fence out there for the 2-run homer. First of the year for Myskowski. Lions get 8 in the first, but they're not done there. In the second, 2 on for Ryan Doran, dead center, no problem, clears the 400 sign out there. 3-run jack, Doran drives in 6 runs. Missouri Southern pounds East Central 20-1. We'll be right back with more right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. So I wanted to show you this. We don't have any active advisories or anything in our area, but you look off to the northwest, we got winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories for a good chunk of Kansas, thankfully not including our area. We also, again, have a very low-end risk of maybe a strong storm or two south of I-44. As you can see, it doesn't encompass a huge area, but there is that slight risk later tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range line, looking good so far this morning. As we take a look at temperatures, we're a bit chilly. 41 in Joplin, feeling like 41 with a calm breeze out there. Taking a look around the region, we've got these temperatures. So again, there's a cold front in the area, and depending on how it plays out and where it bobs around, some of us, like Yates Center, Iola, Chanute, and Neodesha, are going to be a bit colder through the day. You go further to south and east, you're going to be a bit warmer, like 41, Neosho, Monette, Carthage. That cold front is really going to play around with our temperatures, so we're going to have high temperatures kind of all over the place. We're looking to get through the 40s into the morning hours. We'll have increasing clouds across the area as well. We're looking at a high around the Joplin area of 52, and then again to the south and east, could be a bit warmer. To the north and west, could be a bit colder. And we'll be breezy today, but not like yesterday. We're talking periodic gusts 20 to 25 miles an hour. We will get cold tonight, dropping down to 21. I still need to take that off. We'll be mostly cloudy through the evening, and then as I showed you, along and south of I-44 is where we could see a few scattered thunderstorms between, say, 9 and midnight tonight. Here's a look at the thinking on this cold front as we go through the morning hours, and it will eventually try and shift southeast. So that's why we could hit an early high in Joplin and then start to cool down again. And then as we go into the night, that's when we'll see some thunderstorm activity along that front. And then we'll start to see the possibility of some light snow into the northwestern part of the area. We're not anticipating much in the way of that snow, but a few slick spots possible. So again, down to 31 tonight, some of us a little colder, 35 tomorrow with that morning snow in the northwest, down to 22. We're still chilly Friday into Saturday, but as you see, we get into Sunday and the start of next week, our temperatures really start to warm up again. And this roller coaster ride of temperatures is not over yet. So like we said earlier, buckle up, get ready for the ride as we get to experience a couple of different seasons yet again in the next 7 days. Well, the police department in an area of Florida is welcoming tattoos a little bit more. Ken Suarez has more on that story.
It's a sound that more and more people are hearing as they sit in their favorite tattoo artist's chair. Hunter Graves is getting his 11th tattoo, a koi fish.
I like to express myself through my tattoos.
Not too long ago, that's something police officers couldn't do. Tats were a big no-no. Then, little by little, agencies began to change. Under Lakeland Police Department's policy, tattoos like this one are allowed, as long as they don't cover more than half of the officer's arm. Recently, an LPD recruiter noticed something striking.
One of the top 4 questions that he is asked is, what's your tattoo policy? And when a lot of other agencies allow tattoos to be visible on their arms, the applicants will immediately gravitate to those agencies.
To slow that down and recruit more young talent, LPD is loosening its tat policy. Sleeves are now okay, but there are still some restrictions.
Any tattoos will still be prohibited if it's on the hands, neck, face, or fingers, except a common wedding ring.
The police department says sometimes an officer having a tattoo is actually an advantage. It's a conversation starter.
Especially if it's a veteran, it's a great rapport builder.
Drew Johnson says a lot of officers have gotten their tats at Holy Grail.
We'll often just come in and say hi and, show our tattoos and, how did everything healed up.
The buzz is now when LPD's new policy kicks in, they expect even more.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Should places of employment be more accepting of tattoos and piercings? Yes or no? You can vote through our website, through the app, and of course take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're going to be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, and that may have had some people thinking about love. And some people say love at first sight is real. But Susan Albers, a psychologist for Cleveland Clinic, says love at first sight is only connected to passion. She adds there are 3 things that make up love: intimacy, passion, and commitment. Albers says if you experience love at first sight, it could be you rewriting a love story to meet an expectation. She also says if you think you've fallen in love with someone at first sight, you'll want to make sure by looking to see if you have some shared hobbies and values with your significant other. Scientists may be closer to developing an on-demand form of male birth control. Researchers have seen promising results after testing the male birth control drug in mice. Studies suggest the drug deactivates the SAC enzyme, therefore slowing down the movement of sperm and preventing pregnancy. Study authors from Weill Cornell Medicine in New York say the drug could be a, quote, game changer for contraception. Their work suggests the drug can be taken as needed. It was found to be effective at preventing impregnation in the first 2 hours after taking it. After 6 weeks of testing, the studies did not find any negative health outcomes, and the male mice were able to reproduce normally when not taking the contraceptive. More trials are needed to develop the drug, but researchers hope the male pill will soon become a reality. Many states are reporting a spike in child abuse and neglect over the last few years. Madison Scarpino has more.
Things like loss of a loved one, unemployment, and other challenges from the pandemic are still issues people are dealing with today, and unfortunately can lead to child abuse or neglect. And a lot of these cases go unreported.
When it comes to the prevalence of early childhood and early neglect, we've certainly seen an increase in referrals, as have other agencies in the area.
Family Forward is a Missouri nonprofit that works with kids who have gone through a wide variety of trauma.
What neglect looks like, it's a pretty broad definition. So neglect can look like missing school frequently, unsupervised care. But what that also ends up looking like is lack of access to affordable child care. And a lot of these are really still ramifications of the pandemic.
Sadly, abuse and neglect cases and even deaths are rising and affecting families coast to coast.
We don't have what we would think about as a child well-being system established in our country, where if a family says, hey, I'm struggling with housing, I'm struggling to put food on the table, where they can go and receive these services early, often as they need to be able to get back up and running.
To help these children, Family Forward offers a therapeutic preschool, trauma assessment, parent education, and more.
We don't focus on the granular, like we need to fix these behaviors, but we really focus on why are they not able to succeed, and how do we help build them up and provide interventions that can make them successful in those settings.
Both Family Forward and Prevent Child Abuse America say a solution to this issue isn't simple.
I think understanding how are we going to allocate resources to mitigate some of these things. This isn't an individual child problem. There are larger systemic players that contribute to that.
Family Forward is launching a research and training institution, and Prevent Child Abuse America is continuing on with home visiting programs, policy work, among other things, all with the goal of prevention. That's a look at today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got a bumpy ride with temperatures and weather today as the roller coaster ride continues for us. We'll take a look at your full forecast when we come back. Today, a cold front meddling with temperatures as well. We'll take a look at that full forecast coming up.
We take you to Fort Scott to meet a couple who's been married for more than 60 years.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:28. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a bit chilly out there to start our day. We'll have some increasing clouds, still a bit breezy later today, but the good news is we're not talking the 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We're looking at periodic gusts from about 20 to 25. MoDOT camera 20 to and we're looking good from 7th and Range Line. Again, albeit a bit chilly. It's 41 in Joplin. These clear skies will eventually give way to mostly cloudy skies as the day goes on. So there's a cold front. You can kind of see the outline in the temperature contour here. Some of us today are going to be a little bit colder. Some of us today are going to be a little bit warmer. We're at 31 in Yates Center, 32 in Chinook Parsons, 39 in Miami, and 41 in Neosho. As we go through today, we're looking at temperatures warming into the 40s with those clouds increasing through the morning. But again, off to the northwest, we're going to be a little bit cooler than this. We're looking at a high in Joplin, about 52. And again, to our south and east, could go a little warmer. To the north and west, we're going to go a little bit cooler. That cold front's really going to play havoc with those temperatures. Mostly cloudy skies and again some gusts to 20, 25. Windy conditions continue this evening. I still need to fix that. And we'll start to see some showers and thunderstorms possible along and south of I-44, say between about 9 and midnight. And then we'll drop back down to a low of 31. And here's the other side of this. As the cold front moves on and starts to actually move through the area, we could see some light snow in our northwestern counties by early tomorrow morning. Shouldn't add up to much, but a couple of slick spots are possible. Only 35 tomorrow, down to 22. We're still chilly Friday, but more sunshine. Clouds increasing Saturday, and as those clouds pick up a bit, our temperatures pick up a bit as well as we start to head back to the lower 60s by next Tuesday with a few additional rain chances. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Fort Scott, Kansas Police Department is asking for your help to help with a vandalism problem in the town. They say on Tuesday alone they responded to 18 calls of vandalism. The vandalism calls pertain to cars, homes, garages, and fences that were spray painted with profanity and other tags. And so far the calls seem to be in the area of South Crawford to Couch and 4th to 8th Street. If you have any information or home security footage that might aid the investigation, please ask you to give them a call. On Tuesday, a Missouri judge overturned the conviction of Lamar Johnson, a St. Louis man who has spent nearly 28 years in prison for the murder he says he did not commit. Johnson, now 50, was convicted of murder for the 1994 fatal shooting of Marcus Boyd. Police and prosecutors blame the killing on a dispute over drug money. Johnson maintained he was innocent from day one, saying he was with his girlfriend miles away when the crime occurred. The case for Johnson's release was centered around a key witness who recanted his testimony and a prison inmate who says it was he, not Johnson, who participated in the murder. Please turn to the public for help in identifying a smash and grab suspect. On Monday at 1:53 in the morning, an alarm at Zips gas station on 1904 East 32nd alerted Joplin police. Authorities found the glass front door had been shattered. Security camera footage showed a masked person with a backpack smash the glass door with a cinder block. The suspect then entered the store and took an entire display before exiting the store. The entire burglary took less than 30 seconds. If you have any information, please contact the Joplin Police Department, 417-623-3131. Love is a beautiful thing, and some folks have experienced it for a long time. On this Valentine's Day, we visited a nursing home in Joplin for some advice on what to do for a successful relationship.
I did something today and you missed it, but we had a party in the other room down here in the activity room.
And me and him slow danced together.
We actually danced together 2 or 3 times, and I can't hardly stand at all. But I managed to get the strength up to do it because I wanted to dance with her.
If you'd like to submit a picture of who you think about for Valentine's Day, or maybe any day of the year, we'd love to see. Go online to our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, and find our pinned post. Students at Frank Layden Elementary School in Frontenac, Kansas celebrated Valentine's Day with a class party. Students passed out candy and toys. Chocolate was the class favorite.
Yeah, I handed it to all my friends and my 2 teachers. Because it's mostly like you get to celebrate like with your family and stuff.
Kids passed out candy, notes, and even whoopee cushions. Of course, I love those. They had a blast with those. It's a story for the decades and an appropriate one for Valentine's Day. KOAM's Yana Tula introduces us to a Fort Scott, Kansas couple celebrating more than 60 years of marriage.
We didn't really even know each other at the time, and he skated, I skated, and he just came, you ask somebody to skate, you know, you partners and you skate, and we just started skating, and there we went.
Jonah Kay and Larry Ballou fell in love on the skate rink.
We kept on skating, though. About every night skating, and
we was pretty much together after that.
Yeah, we never separated after that.
The couple got married in 1957. They were both teenagers. They now had 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 1 step-grandchild, 13 great-grandchildren, and 3 step-great-grandkids.
I had to find a good job.
Yeah, you had to find a job. Back then, they was hard to come by.
You know, there wasn't any jobs. I mean, he worked at a gas station when we got married. You know, they pumped your own gas for you.
The couple says marriage is like a job. You don't have it if you don't work for it every day in your life.
Sometimes you don't talk to each other for a day, but then it's forgotten and you go on.
You just go on and it's like it never happened, you know. Whatever your spout was about, it wasn't that important.
Right.
What was important, it was us. And that's what you have to remember, what's important in your life together. What you have, what you're going to have, because you won't have it if you don't work for it.
During their years of marriage, the couple has traveled through states by car. Their advice: don't hurry to get to the destination. Rather, enjoy the time traveling with each other.
We're up in the mountains, and we come down the mountain into this little town, and it was so unique. We just stayed there all day, walked around.
No, yeah, we didn't.
There was no to here to there. When you take a vacation, it should be a vacation.
Taking it a day at a time to keep this love rolling. In Fort Scott, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
But they have some wonderful stories. The couple still lives in Jonna Kay's childhood home, a place they say is always open to family and friends. Well, this morning we are discussing tattoos and piercings in the workplace.
Yeah, it's a sound that more and more people are hearing as they sit in their favorite tattoo artist chair. Hunter Graves is getting his 11th tattoo, a koi fish. Not too long ago, that's something that police officers couldn't do. Tats were a big no-no. Then, little by little, agencies began to change. Under the Lakeland, Florida Police Department's policy, tattoos like this one are allowed as long as they don't cover more than half of the officer's arm.
Recently, an LPD recruiter noticed something striking, that one of the top questions asked is about the department's tattoo policy. The police department says sometimes an officer having a tattoo is actually an advantage. It can be a conversation starter.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Should places of employment be more accepting of tattoos and piercings? Yes or no? So far, doesn't look like anybody's voted yet. Probably too much chocolate, sleeping in a little bit later today. But make sure you do take time to vote through our website, through our app, and of course take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
All right. Be sure to vote.
Absolutely.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, it's not just people finding love on Valentine's Day. It's also a goose. Yep, we're going to take you to Iowa, where a lonely goose finds a mate just in time.
Plus, the artist known as Banksy reveals his latest piece of art just in time for Valentine's Day. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, Banksy unveils a new mural on Valentine's Day, and the mural shows a woman with a black eye pushing a person inside a real broken freezer. The elusive artist posted a picture of the mural on Instagram, captioning the piece, "Valentine's Day Mascara." And many speculate the mural is meant to reference fighting domestic violence against women. This latest artwork appears in Margate, England. Banksy's graffiti works have appeared all over the world, shedding light on social and political issues. In November, Banksy confirmed he traveled to war-torn Ukraine to complete a series of murals on damaged buildings, showing solidarity. Part of the mural was later removed. A shelter in the Philippines is spreading puppy love this Valentine's Day. The Philippine Animal Welfare Society invited people to book a date with one of the dogs up for adoption, hoping the furry friends will eventually find forever homes. And the animal rights group located in Manila says most of the dogs were victims of abuse or neglect. So these opportunities to socialize can help prepare them for adoption in the future. As the war rages on in Ukraine, some residents take time to celebrate a day of love. In Kyiv, some Ukrainians marked Valentine's Day buying flowers and sweets for loved ones. A flower shop in the city's Independence Square was abuzz with people buying roses and colorful bouquets, and a coffee shop offered special Valentine's Day cakes and other treats. One resident said some people use the day to try to forget about their worries just for a moment. Another shopper added the holiday was an opportunity for Ukrainians to express their love for the country. Well, he's known as the Master of Light, a 17th century Dutch painter, Johannes Vermeer, the star of a new exhibition at Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum, hanging side by side for the first and likely last time ever. The paintings have also been subjected to extraordinary scientific study. Machines first developed by NASA to examine minerals on the moon and Mars revealed an astonishing detail how Vermeer painted his masterpieces. CNN had exclusive early access to the exhibition, as Nick Glass reports.
For a glorious 90 minutes, we had the place to ourselves. Vermeer's paintings, their beauty, their size, demand intimacy and quiet. And here was an opportunity to spend quality time with his most famous creation.
This is rare. I've been an arts correspondent for something like 20 years, and to be alone with a painting like this, Girl with the Pearl Earring, it's extraordinary. And she's not alone.
The Rijksmuseum has pulled off an astonishing artistic coup, the greatest Vermeer show of this or any other lifetime. 28 of the 34 to 37 attributed works. Vermeer himself would never have seen so many of his paintings altogether in one place.
It's very exciting. I've kind of had this dream of having all the paintings together. Obviously there are only about 37 paintings by Vermeer, but having 28 here is just something we would have never thought possible.
The Lace Maker from the Louvre in Paris. Girl with the Red Hat from the National Gallery in Washington. Girl reading a letter at an open window from the Gemäldegalerie Gallery in Dresden, Germany.
I remember that I saw for the first time 2 paintings by Vermeer at the National Gallery London, and I think I fainted a little bit. There's such a glowing light in the paintings. And since then I've been busy with Vermeer.
Vermeer has been under intense scrutiny in another way. In the lab, under infrared and other light, they've adapted specialist techniques, first used by NASA to map minerals on Mars and the Moon. It amounts to non-invasive fine art archaeology.
It's as if you're looking over his shoulder and seeing what he's doing.
We didn't know it, but Vermeer never stopped experimenting.
If you see the underlying paint layers, for example, the underpaint, he really put on kind of fast and rough brush strokes to define light and shadow. For example, in the tablecloth, you have areas where there's black underpaint, like here and here, right, the darkest shadows, and then on top where the light hits the table, he used a white underpaint.
And behind her on the wall,
here was a fire basket, a large element to dry your clothes, and then here was a jug rack with jugs hanging on it.
We've known for a long time that Vermeer was a genius with paints and a brush, but only now are we beginning to understand how precisely he did it. Nick Glass, CNN, at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got some good news. We have these winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. As you can see, though, they stay outside of our area, and they should remain that way, but that's just how potent this next system is. And as we head into this evening, we have a very low-end risk for a stray strong storm or two, mainly south of I-44. As you can see, any stronger storms we see, some hail and wind would be the primary risks with those, and those will come later tonight. Looking at the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, we look all right so far, and we look good at 7th and range line too. We're sitting at 41 in Joplin with a calm wind. We have this cold front draped across the area. It's going to kind of bob around a little bit, and that's going to really play around with our temperatures. So I want to just let everyone know, because we do have such a wide area, some of us off to the northwest may not make highs out of the upper 30s or barely into the lower 40s. However, some of us off to the southeast could push the mid to even upper 50s later today, depending on how this cold front plays out. So we're at 31 Yates Center, 32 in Chanute and Parsons, 37 Miami, 40 Neosho, and 41 in Carthage. As we go through the morning, we're going to see temperatures, if you're roughly along and southeast of that front, crawl up into the 40s. Clouds will increase, and we'll have some gusty winds upwards of 20 to 25 miles an hour, so nothing like yesterday. yesterday. Joplin looking to reach a high of about 52 today, and we'll all have those clouds continue to build in. As we head into this evening, we remain mostly cloudy. That's when we could see those showers and storms along and south of I-44, say between 9 and midnight. Then we'll get down to a low of 31. So I've thrown the cold front on here, and you can see what some of the computer thinking is on the placement of this cold front. But the way it's just going to bob around the area is really going to mess with things, which is why if it does like this later this afternoon, we could warm up nicely in Joplin into the lower 50s and then start to cool down once we get on the backside of this front. As we go through the day, that front could bob back to the north a little bit before eventually it starts to get its way on out of here. And then again this evening, we could see some of those showers and thunderstorms out there. And then even as we head into tomorrow morning, we could see some of that snow off in Kansas make its way and clip our northwestern counties very early tomorrow morning and bring a light snow, maybe a light wintry mix for some of us. All right, let's take a look at the 7-day. So again, temperatures today widely varying, but on average about the upper 40s to lower 50s. We're looking at 35 tomorrow, much colder. We're 42 Friday, chilly conditions. We are still cool on Saturday. We start to warm up starting next week. So the roller coaster ride takes us on this dip and then starts to climb again. Maybe some rain chances late Monday and into Tuesday. More rain possible Wednesday. And then look at this. The roller coaster continues to climb up as we make it up to about 64, maybe some early morning showers on Thursday. And then after that, another system comes in that brings a front through, knocks our temperatures down. Look at this drop down to 20 degrees Thursday night. Then we only make it up to 37 by next Friday. So the roller coaster ride not over yet, winter not over yet, but hints of spring starting to show up in the forecast. We've got a lot more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Nikki Haley makes it official. She's running for president in 2024. Former South Carolina governor and United Nations ambassador announced her candidacy in a video posted on Twitter. 51-year-old daughter of Indian immigrants becomes the first major challenger to former President Donald Trump for the Republican nomination. Other Republicans, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Vice President Mike Pence, are also expected to join the race. Egg prices have soared more than 70% over the past year, and that's according to government inflation data released on Tuesday. Higher production costs and a deadly avian flu outbreak are partly to blame for the high cost of eggs, but some egg producers have raked in high profits amidst the turmoil. This has sparked demands for a federal investigation into possible price gouging. The American College of Physicians recognized Pittsburgh State University physician with a high-ranking award of mastership. Dr. Kathleen Sandness is grateful for the award, but her pride comes from working with students and the staff at PSU's Health Center. She attributes her success to her willingness to learn and adapt. And one Ford Scott couple has enjoyed their share of Valentine's Days. Larry and Jonna K. Ballou are celebrating their 64th anniversary this year. The couple met at a skating rink at Fort Scott in 1957 when Larry asked Jonna to skate with him. The couple has traveled together to almost every state in the United States by car. They say when traveling, it's important not to hurry to get to the destination, but enjoy the time traveling with each other. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, so how about an animal love story? And this one's from rural Iowa, where a lonely goose has found her sweetheart. Steve Carlin has the story.
Geese flock to Riverside Cemetery in Marshalltown all the time to be with their friends. But one bird named Blossom was lonely and longing for love.
Blossom came to us a few years ago with another domestic goose. We named them Bud and Blossom.
You see, Bud passed away this year. That's when the cemetery noticed Blossom acting up.
Standing in front of our office door and pecking on the glass, and then she's pooing on our doormat.
The cemetery had to do something with the silly goose. So they played matchmaker and posted an ad on Facebook. Blossom, single, ready to mingle.
She's a sweetheart.
Within days, the cemetery helped Blossom find a new love, Frankie. They got a call from a couple that was moving out of state, and they can't take their male goose, a bachelor himself, with them. It's a heartwarming tale tailored so perfectly to these two lovebirds. It might just give you goosebumps.
I love all the puns in that. Experts say most geese mate for life. We'll be right back after the break.
We've got some wild temperatures for us. Some of us to the northwest a little colder than those of us to the southeast, so we're picking the average here. We're looking at clouds increasing. We'll have wind gusts 20-25 miles an hour. We'll start to warm through the 40s as we go through our morning. As we head into today, we're looking at a high in Joplin about 52, and again to the northwest a little colder, to the southeast a little warmer. We'll have mostly cloudy skies as we go through the afternoon and into the evening, and then along and south of I-44, say between about 9 and midnight, could see a few scattered thunderstorms out there. A couple of those could be a little stronger with maybe some small hail and gusty winds. Then we drop down to a low of 31. And as we head into tomorrow morning, as this cold front pushes on through, some of our northwestern counties could see some light snow early in the morning. Shouldn't add up to much, but could cause some slick spots out there. And we only make it to 35 tomorrow, down to 22 tomorrow night. Still chilly on Friday, but we'll have more sunshine. As we get into the weekend, we're still cool on Saturday, and the temperatures begin to warm up heading into next week. And then we watch additional rain chances start to build in through Monday and then again into Tuesday of next week. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, can you identify this man? The Joplin Police Department turns to the public for help in identifying a suspect in an early morning smash and grab at a Joplin gas station.
We've got a chilly start out there. Some of us a little colder than others. A little wild smattering of temperatures today with a cold front in the area. We'll break down your full forecast coming up.
And a Missouri man who spent nearly 28 years in prison will soon walk free after a judge overturns his conviction.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 o'clock. So again, a little bit on the chilly side out there. Some of us a little colder than others. We've got a cold front that's parked right on top of us, and it's expected to bob around a little bit out there. So it's really going to play with temperatures today. So I want to emphasize that. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line looks good. Same from 7th and range line. In Joplin right now, we are at 39 with a calm breeze. There's clear skies. We're going to start to see clouds increase a little bit later. Here's what I'm talking about. Depending on where you are on that side of the cold front, off to the northwest, it's colder. 32, Yates Center, Chanute, Neodesha, Parsons, and Pittsburgh. You go southeast, it's a little warmer, like 35 Miami, 41 in Neosho. We're at 43 in Cassville right now. And since that front will bob around the area, temperatures are going to fluctuate a bit as well. So this is going off about the median average, so right along that front. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies as we go into the latter half of the morning. Temperatures warming into the 40s. And then for the Joplin area, we're looking at a high of about 52, wind gusts 20 to 25 miles an hour, mostly cloudy. Same weather conditions for most of us, but off to the northwest, we could see highs not make it out of the upper 30s, maybe not even to the lower 40s. And then to the southeast, we could actually even push the mid-50s to maybe even the upper 50s. So it's a little bit of a wild ride with that front today. 31 for the low, mostly cloudy skies. Along and south of I-44 between about 9 and midnight, we could see a few showers and thunderstorms out there. A couple of those could be on the stronger side with some small hail and gusty winds. Then, as the front actually moves through the area, we could see some light snow in our northwestern counties. There shouldn't be much to it, but of course it could lead to a few slick spots. And we all only make it up to about 35 tomorrow for a high, down to 22 tomorrow night. Sunny, but still chilly on Friday. Still kind of cool as we head into Saturday. And we see that warming trend as the roller coaster starts to climb back up, heading into the start of next week. Maybe some morning showers Monday and some evening showers by next Tuesday as we push highs into the lower 60s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Police turn to the public for help in identifying a smash and grab suspect. On Monday at 1:53 in the morning, an alarm at Zips gas station at 1904 East 32nd alerted Joplin police. Authorities found the glass front door had been shattered. Security camera footage showed a masked person with a backpack smash the glass door with a cinder block. The suspect then entered the store and took an entire display before exiting the store. The entire burglary took less than 30 seconds. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Joplin Police Department. The number to call, 417-623-3131. A Missouri man will soon see freedom after more than a quarter of a century behind bars. On Tuesday, a Missouri judge overturned the conviction of Lamar Johnson, a St. Louis man who had spent nearly 28 years in prison for a murder he says he did not commit. Johnson, who's now 50, was convicted of murder for the 1994 fatal shooting of Marcus Boyd. Police and prosecutors blamed the killing on a dispute over drug money. Johnson maintained he was innocent from day one, saying he was with his girlfriend miles away when the crime occurred. The case for Johnson's release was centered around a key witness who recanted his testimony and a prison inmate who says it was he, not Johnson, who participated in the murder. Families across the state of Kansas could soon see some beneficial changes. On Tuesday, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced a new set of Family First prevention grants totaling nearly $20 million. The money will go towards creating and growing programs designed to keep families together and preventing children from entering the foster care system. Family First prevention programs have helped more than 3,000 Kansas children remain with their families. Well, some farming equipment manufacturers push back against a bill before Missouri lawmakers. 11 states, including Missouri, are considering a right to repair for farming equipment. The state introduced bills that would force farming equipment manufacturers to provide the tools, software, parts, and manuals needed for farmers to do their own repairs. The bills are a response to farmers unable to repair their own tractors and combines, which forces them to wait sometimes days and pay steep labor costs. Proposition has found pushback from manufacturers worried about releasing trade secrets and the safety of users. Well, new questions this morning about the Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous chemicals that derailed in Ohio earlier this month. Now Ohio's governor reveals some disturbing details about what he says the railroad did not initially tell the state about what was on board. Jared Hill has the details.
The plume of thick black smoke over East Palestine, Ohio is gone, the product of a controlled burn of toxic chemicals to avoid an explosion after a major train derailment earlier this month. But evacuated residents now returning home have lingering questions. Melissa Henry can bring that up during a town hall today with local leaders and representatives from the rail operator, Norfolk Southern.
Anxiety. So much anxiety. Like, am I doing it right? Are we cleaning enough?
On February 3rd, about 50 cars derailed near the Ohio-Pennsylvania line. The mangled mess leaked highly combustible chemicals like vinyl chloride, linked to raising risks of some cancers. According to the EPA, 20 of the 150 cars contained hazardous materials. Ohio's governor, though, said yesterday Norfolk Southern wasn't required to tell the state that toxic chemicals were on board.
This is absurd, and we need to look at this, and Congress needs to take a look.
Amid concerns about the ongoing impact, in a statement Tuesday, the EPA said it hasn't detected any levels of health concern in the community that are attributed to the train derailment. Local officials are reassuring residents as well, but local hazardous material specialists say they're still worried.
There's a lot of what ifs, and we're going to be looking at this thing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line and wondering.
The EPA says it's still looking into the impact this spill is having on surface and groundwater. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
There have been numerous reports in recent days of respiratory issues, burning eyes, and deceased wildlife. The train's operator is facing numerous class action lawsuits from nearby residents and businesses claiming negligence. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the focus now turns to the victims in Monday night's shooting at Michigan State University. This as the nation marks the 5th anniversary of the massacre at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Plus, many parents find themselves in a position to answer the tough questions about school shootings, and one expert has some advice on how to ease the anxiety of this topic with school children. And Chris has another look at your Wednesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, we're starting to learn more about the victims of Monday night's mass shooting at Michigan State University. The 3 killed and the 5 injured were all students. And yesterday, the nation also marked the 5th anniversary of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida. That killed 17. Now, this latest tragedy is prompting renewed calls for action on gun violence. Charlie DeMar has more.
Michigan State University students received support from comfort dogs and each other as they mourn 3 classmates killed in Monday's mass shooting. Junior Ariel Anderson, an aspiring pediatrician, sophomore Brian Frazier, who was president of his fraternity, and junior Alexandra Werner, a talented athlete. A vigil honoring Werner was held outside her Clawson, Michigan high school last night.
She was kind and positive and empathetic and compassionate.
Investigators right now are trying to figure out why a suspect with no affiliation to the university chose to target it.
We don't have an answer right now, and that's the honest truth.
Police say 43-year-old Anthony McCrae began his rampage at Berkey Hall, an academic building, killing 2 and injuring others. He then went to the student union, killing 1 more. Investigators say McCrae later turned the gun on himself as police were closing in.
I never thought it would happen to me.
Freshman Ryan Cahalan sheltered with his girlfriend in a nearby library that night.
Mass shootings are becoming common, and it's just not an okay thing. Like, we need to do something about it.
Students painted the words, "How many more?" on a campus landmark.
Words are not good enough. We must act, and we will.
Flags in Michigan were lowered to half staff. Classes at the university have been canceled for the remainder of the week. Charlie DeMar, CBS News, East Lansing, Michigan.
The university plans to hold a vigil later this evening to honor the victims of Monday's tragic shooting. Police say a caller's tip led them to the suspected gunman, who they say was on probation for a previous gun charge. Officials and family members of the suspect say he also had a history of mental illness. That's a look at one of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Well, we've got a cold front that's kind of bobbing around the area this morning and will do so through the day, and that's going to cause some interesting fluctuations in temperatures. Even this morning, we've got a lot of 32s in southeast Kansas, and you head further southeast and we start to get about 10 degrees warmer than that. We'll talk about what this front's going to do for us in terms of our temperatures, what it's going to do for us in terms of precipitation, and what lies ahead after this front when the KOAM Morning News returns. Oh, we all got in on a little rain action yesterday, so that leads to the perfect weather trivia question for you today. The process of a cloud droplet becoming large enough to fall out as rain is known as which of these? Is it coalescence, incandescence, evaporation, or saturation? That's rain, and we got some yesterday. We'll find out the answer here in a few minutes, but first, let's take a look. 7th and Range Line, we're looking all right out there so far this morning. No alerts or advisories for our immediate area, but I did want to show you a good chunk of Kansas winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories, as they're expecting a considerable system out there, and it's part of the same system that's going to be disrupting our temperatures over the next couple of days. We also have a low end risk of a strong to low grade severe storm south of I-44. As you can see, it's a low hail risk and a very low wind risk as well. So we'll keep an eye on this for you. If anything changes, we'll let you know, but we're looking at the possibility of some storms later tonight with maybe some small hail and gusty winds. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, looks pretty good so far this morning as well. And we're all right in Joplin. We're at 39, so it's chilly out there, but otherwise not too bad. And we've got some clear skies this morning. And as we look around the region, this is what I'm talking about. We have a cold front that's bobbing around the region. And as it kind of moves around throughout the day, it's really going to play havoc with our temperatures. So folks off to the northwest are going to be a little bit colder today than those off to the south and east. So we're at 32, Yates Center, Chanute, Neodesha, Parsons, 35, Chautauqua, Miami, 41 in Neosho, 39 in Carthage, and 36 in Lamar. So here's what we've done. This is the average for right about along that front. We're looking at temperatures pushing into the 40s through the morning. We'll have clouds increasing. We'll have mostly cloudy skies. Now in the Joplin area, we're looking at highs right around 52. We could have some wind gusts 20 to 25 miles an hour. Now, in parts of southeast Kansas, again, say Yates Center, Chanute, Neodesha, we may get highs in the upper 30s, possibly the lower 40s. But if you go southeast, we'll say Anderson, Monette, Cassville, you may see highs in the upper 50s to near 60. All depends on the placement of the cold front through the day, but we'll all have mostly cloudy skies. We'll remain mostly cloudy as we head into the evening, and then again, this evening between about 9 and midnight could see some showers and thunderstorms along and south of I-44. We're looking at a low of 31 once this front pushes through. So here's what we're looking at in terms of the placement of this front. And as the day progresses and that front tries to shift off to the southeast, if it makes it this far southeast, we may warm up into the lower 50s in, say, Joplin, Carthage, Pittsburgh, and then we'll start to cool down because we'll be on the back side of it. But this front could possibly even turn around and reverse itself later in the day, which would cause us to start to warm back back up again in some of the areas that cooled down. Then again, as we head into tonight, we're looking at shower and thunderstorm chances along and south of I-44. And as we get into late tonight and early tomorrow morning, we're looking at the possibility, once this system actually starts to get out of here, we get on the backside of it, of some light snow, maybe a light wintry mix in some of our northwestern counties. And that shouldn't add up to much, but it could certainly cause a few slick spots on area roadways. And even looking at the bigger picture, you can see the possible placement of that front as we go through the day, where it could become stationary and lift back up to the northwest a little bit, warming some of us back up. There's some of those rain showers. There's the big snow system across Kansas. Like I said, we may get in some light snow in our northwestern counties, but we shouldn't get anything like what they're expecting out there. All right, back to our weather trivia question. So the process of a cloud droplet becoming large enough to fall out as rain is known as which of these? Is it coalescence, incandescence, evaporation, or saturation? Well, if you picked A, coalescence, you would be right. See, the average raindrop contains about 1 million times as much water as a single cloud droplet. That's why when it gets heavy enough and the cloud can no longer support it, we get rainfall like what we got yesterday, and we are in need of that rain. The good news is, so far for the year, we're just a pinch above average, and if we can keep that up, that'll certainly help with our drought situation, which is still not fully recovered since last summer. All right, we get cold tonight. Only 35 tomorrow, down to 22 Thursday night. A little bit warmer on Friday as we go into the lower 40s, but more sunshine. We start to gradually warm up through the weekend, and then we start to see the roller coaster go back up as we get back into the 50s to near 60, maybe some rain showers Monday and Tuesday. More rain possible Wednesday, a little bit cooler, 56. We make it up to 64 Thursday, and then we've got another wave coming through that's going to kick our temperatures down another 40 some odd degrees again Thursday night as we go from 64 down to 20 for our low, and then we only make it up to 37 by next Friday. So this roller coaster ride is not over yet, and this is something that I've noticed over the years seems to happen as we start to creep into spring. We get these little peaks of spring, and then winter says, whoa, 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 I'm not done yet. So we got a lot to get through, and thankfully we have some additional rain chances out there as well. We're back with more right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, having COVID increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and that's according to a new study which found people who developed the virus had an increased risk for new onset diabetes. COVID can also cause long-term damage to the lungs. Researchers looked at the lungs of people who developed COVID pneumonia 6 months, a year, and then 2 years after the initial infection. Lung abnormalities at 6 months were 54%, and while they decreased over time, 39% of the patients who developed COVID pneumonia still had lung abnormalities 2 years after infection. And people who develop cognitive and emotional disorders after a stroke may have more of a struggle to recover than those who do not. Findings in Norway show people who report poorer memory and concentration, along with patients with major anxiety and depression after a stroke, develop fatigue and report sleeping more during the daytime. Mental health is at the forefront of many parents' minds following the string of school shootings in recent years. Kaylee Schuler spoke with a local mental health counselor about steps to take that can help ease anxiety.
Monday's shooting at Michigan State University ended with 3 lives taken and 5 others hurt. It happened just one day before the 5-year anniversary of the Parkland, Florida shooting that left 17 people dead.
Unfortunately, that's happening more and more often, and I think it absolutely creates some anxiety.
Community Health Network counselor Kimball Richardson says active shooter situations can be detrimental to students' health.
Acute distress, which means right now in the moment, or it can trigger what we call trigger stresses or anxieties or fears that have happened in the past.
He says both situations usually do not go away on their own.
It's important now more than ever that we take care of our mental health, reach out to people, seek professional advice or support if you need it.
We spoke with an Indianapolis father who did not want to go on camera but told us he drove to MSU today to pick up his daughter. He says campus was eerily quiet. Richardson says tragedies can often change a parent and child's relationship.
I think it's very natural for parents to want to have even more contact with their child, even though they may be young adults.
Former special agent with the Secret Service in Indianapolis, Rondra Good, says there are ways you can ease your mind.
When you get into specific circumstances, have a plan of action.
He says to be aware of your surroundings always.
I don't want people to be paranoid either. These are simple tasks that you can run through in your head relatively quickly and then go on to enjoy whatever you're doing.
In Indianapolis, Kaylee Schuyler, CBS 4 News.
Richardson also tells parents it is totally normal if their child starts having more concerns and starts reaching out more than usual when at school. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
A cold front bobbing around the area is going to play with our temperatures across the region as well. Now, right now in Joplin, we're at 39 degrees. We've got clear skies, and you can kind of see where that cold front is in the contour of the darker lines where it's colder off to the northwest. 31 Yates Center, 32 Neodesha, Chanute, Iola, Parsons. Then to the southeast, it's warmer. 40 in Miami, 39 in Neosho, 38 in Monette and Carthage. So, picking the average right along that front, we're looking at temperatures this morning going into the lower to mid 40s. We'll also have clouds increasing for all of us through the day. And around the Joplin area, we're looking at a high of 52. Again, to the northwest, we could see highs in the upper 30s, lower 40s. And down to the southeast, we could see highs pushing the upper 50s to maybe even near 60 degrees. We'll all be mostly cloudy, winds gusting about 20 to 25 miles an hour, so not as bad as yesterday. Breezy heading into the evening, and then along and south of I-44, some showers and thunderstorms possible between about 9 and midnight. A few of those could be a little bit on the strong side with some small hail and gusty winds. 31 for the overnight low. Off to our northwest, though, some of our counties up there could pick up some light snow as this system moves on through as we head into very early tomorrow morning. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We're not expecting much out of that light snow, but it could lead to some slick roadways. So here's that front. If it could even do this. It could shift southeast, so say southeast of Joplin, and we get cool. But then it could possibly start to lift back to the northwest, and then we'd warm back up again. So it's really just going to play havoc with our temperatures today. Then once it actually gets through, that's when we start to see the big cool down. That's why we get so cold tonight, back down to about 31. Only 35 tomorrow, maybe against some AM light snow in the northwestern counties. Still chilly Friday, but more sunshine. Cool on Saturday. We're going to start to warm up heading into the weekends. Look at some of these overnight lows too. So we get a couple of 2 or 3 nights of pretty cold nights, and we start to warm back up. Our roller coaster starts to go back up again. We make it up to the lower 60s by Tuesday with some shower chances both Monday and Tuesday. We're back with more right after this.
Right now at 6:30, a staple in the Carthage sports community gets shut down after more than 50 years for safety concerns.
Live look at the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line. We've got the sun starting to rise. We've got some wild temperature rides today and over the next several days. We'll break it all down coming up.
And an abandoned school in Pittsburgh will soon see new life as a daycare center, thanks to a nonprofit group.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got an interesting situation with temperatures today because we have an interesting situation with a cold front that's draped across the area. It's going to kind of become a little bit of a stationary front, and it could even play a brief role as a warm front, and that's really going to play with temperatures across the region. So that's going to make some of the forecast graphics a little more specific to certain areas, but not really apply to others. And we'll cover that here in just a moment. We're at 39 in Joplin right now with calm winds. Got a few clouds out there in the sky. Here's where the darker areas are where it's, of course, colder. And you can tell kind of where the outline of that front is across the region. So we got 31 Yates Center, 32 Chanute, Parsons, 40 in Miami, 39 Neosho, and up to 41 in Anderson. You get warmer as you head southeast because you're southeast of the front. You're on the warmer side of it. As we go through today, this is somewhat specific to right along the front. Some of us are going to be colder than this. Some of us could be a bit warmer than this. We're going to go through the 40s, see the clouds increase. And one thing that does apply are these icons. We're all going to see the clouds increase as we go through the morning and into your afternoon. Now, around the Joplin area, we're looking at a high of 52. Out to the northwest, say Yates Center, Chanute, Parsons, we could see highs in the upper 30s to lower 40s. You go southeast, say Anderson, Monette, Cassville, you could see highs in the upper 50s to near 60, depending on how this front plays out. We could also see some gusty winds about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So the good news is, yeah, it's still breezy, but nothing like what we experienced yesterday. So we go through the evening, of course, temperatures will fall. We remain mostly cloudy, and then along and south of I-44, between about 9 and midnight, could see some showers and thunderstorms. A couple of those storms could be on the stronger side with some small hail and gusty winds. Then our lows really start to drop as we get down to 31. So closer view of that cold front. So this is the computer's thinking on how this front's going to move, and it gives you a great idea. So we could warm up a bit in Joplin, for example, see this front push through as a cold front, cool down, and then as it becomes a stationary, almost warm front, it starts to lift back to the northwest a bit, and some of those same cool areas will warm up again. So you saw some of those 60s down to our south and east. And then we see the rain chances start to build in late tonight, and again, a strong storm or two possible across part of the area. And then off to the northwest, on the cold side of this front, we could see a slight chance of some light snow, maybe a light wintry mix. That shouldn't add up to much, but could cause some slick spots on the area roadway. So a lot going on in just what seems like such a small area, but it reminds you how big our area is with all the varieties of weather we're going to experience heading through the day. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, it's game over for a baseball stadium in Carthage due to safety concerns. The Carl Luton Stadium in Carthage has been home to the Carthage Tigers baseball program for more than 50 years. Until now. KOAM's Shagun Bombadeli has more.
The Carthage Tigers have been left homeless after Carthage city engineer declared Carl Luton Stadium unfit and unsafe for occupancy. The city closed the stadium to games.
We have a situation of black mold. We have electrical wires that are exposed. The concrete is bursting, it's breaking down, water has gotten into that, so it's a hazard for people. It's just an unsafe environment, and of course once we're made aware of the full severity of the situation, we really don't have any other option.
The superintendent of Carthage Schools says the news came as a surprise.
We had received a call from the city regarding what they believe is unsafe. It's something I think everybody recognized. It has been like that for many years, but for some reason the city determined at this point the best thing is to shut it down.
Since baseball season starts in less than a month, the school district is looking for other places to play.
Once we were notified by the city that the field would not be able to use for games, we started searching for places to play our home games. We'll still have a season, we'll still have a place to practice, or just searching for something for our 10 or 11 home games.
The kids can still practice on the field. We just can't have any of the general public or spectators in up and around on the stands and in the building in any way.
But they do not have much time to find a place to play. The baseball season starts in March. Reporting in Carthage, Shagun Bombadeli, KOAM News.
Parks and Recs director says city leaders will meet to discuss their next step. An abandoned school in Pittsburgh will soon see new life as a daycare center. Washington School has been vacant and abandoned for decades, and it will now be repurposed into a daycare. Nonprofit organization Point Forward is addressing the critical shortage of childcare options in Southeast Kansas. The nonprofit plans for redevelopment will cost $5.5 million.
There's been a school on that property since 1887. The building has been a salvage yard since about the last 50 years. So we've been in recent months cleaning it up, getting it ready for renovation. Architects and engineers are nearly done with the schematics.
After the redevelopment, the nonprofit will hand the daycare to a local organization for operations. Well, this morning we're discussing tattoos and piercings in the workplace.
Hunter Graves is getting his 11th tattoo. This time, it's a koi fish. Not too long ago, police officers in Lakeland, Florida couldn't get tattoos. Then, little by little, the agency began to change.
Now, recently, an LPD recruiter noticed something striking. One of the top questions asked is about the department's tattoo policy. The police department says sometimes an officer having a tattoo is actually an advantage. it can be a conversation starter.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Should places of employment be more accepting of tattoos and piercings? So far, 46% of you say that they should, 54% of you say they should not. And, it's kind of like they said about how it can be a conversation starter in the police department. I think a lot of it also varies about what it is that you do and what you need to get across to your potential customers, clients, whatever the case may be. Like in our case, viewers. If we had tattoos all over our faces or something like that, viewers may not necessarily see us as credible. On the other hand, the world is changing, maybe they would, but in other situations, it may be perfectly acceptable. So make sure you vote through our website, our app, and take part in discussion on our
They're
Facebook
definitely
page.
not as taboo as they used to be.
No, they're not. Now, I can't say much on the matter. I personally don't have any. My wife's got a few, and she's got them, placed in appropriate areas, and they're very nice. It just all depends. No, she's got one behind her ear,
She's
one on her
probably
wrist.
enjoying you telling everybody this too.
I'm sure that she is. So
I'm gonna make you stop before you get in trouble any further.
I'm usually in trouble anyway.
Sorry, Amber. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, social media to the rescue for some restaurants.
Smaller restaurants that are often overlooked are getting a boost from social media. I'm Michael George with how influencers are helping uncover hidden gems.
Plus, we've got a cold front across the area that's going to give us one heck of a wild ride in temperatures. The latest coming up.
In Consumer Watch this morning, consumer prices in January rose 6.4% over last year. The number shows inflation is moderating at slightly less than December's increase of 6.5%, though it's higher than economists' predictions. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy cost, increased at an annual rate of 5.6%, also higher than economists had predicted. Some analysts believe the numbers will lead to the Fed to continue with rate hikes in the coming months. Well, Ford is pausing production of its popular F-150 Lightning electric vehicle to investigate a potential battery issue. Spokesperson said so far the company is unaware of any incidents out on the roads. This comes a day after Ford announced it is investing $3.5 billion into a new battery plant in Michigan. Ford also says it's slashing nearly 4,000 jobs in Europe as it focuses on its U.S. EV operations. And Subway says it's exploring a possible sale of the company. The Connecticut-based sandwich chain has been privately owned since its founding in 1965, with over 35,000 locations worldwide. In a statement, Subway said there is no timetable for a sale or even if it will go through with one. Subway is one of the world's largest restaurant chains with 37,000 outlets in more than 100 countries. Well, the restaurant business can be tough, and the pandemic hit the industry particularly hard. But as Michael George shows us, some social media influencers are now using their platform to support small restaurants.
Amrit Paul Singh came to New York from India to start his own restaurant. He named it Angel after his daughter. But just 6 months after opening, the pandemic shut down the city. COVID was very tough for you.
Yes, very tough. Sometime I came here, I don't get any single customer here and I go home back.
But recently he got a boost from an unexpected place, social media.
Angel Indian Restaurant rightly became known for their biryani, but the Adaraki lamb might be our favorite dish here.
Cy Willis and Lauren McGill are food influencers. Their channel, Consuming Couple, has more than 400,000 followers on TikTok. They like to highlight smaller, lesser-known spots, like Angel. How do you find these places?
Yeah, really just diving into the research. I like going down a few rabbit holes and just seeing what we can find.
We like to try new stuff and we don't want to get stuck in our own little bubble.
Just one post from Consuming Couple brought in crowds of new customers.
They actually help me a lot here. I get maybe 100 customers here. They tell me I see your video in Instagram also and TikTok also.
My dish, it's gotta be torched on fire tableside.
Nom Life, an LA-based food blog with 300,000 followers, also encourages viewers to try hidden gems in their community.
So for us, it's really always been really passionate about highlighting local restaurants and businesses.
You just have to get out there and try. Like sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not, sometimes you'll love it, but it's all part of the experience.
Giving their followers a taste of something new while giving restaurants a helping hand. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Marketing industry survey found 62% of consumers say they're more likely to try something if it's recommended by an influencer they follow. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, just a quick look here. We've got this cold front that's really going to be playing havoc with our temperatures today because it's got an opportunity to first come through as a cold front. Then it may turn back to the northwest, which would make it a warm front. Then it will just kind of stall out before we finally get this system to kick on out of here and make some other changes to our weather over the next, say, 24 hours. We'll get to your full forecast in just a moment, but it's almost time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. And before we do that, we're going to head to New York to see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King, coming right up and only on CBS Mornings. We love when that happens. Oprah's going to reveal her highly anticipated new book club selection, and we'll talk with the author about the book's very powerful message. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
Time to celebrate some Wednesday birthdays, and we're going to start up in Carl Junction with Blake Tatum, who's turning the big 5 today. Happy birthday, Blake.
And Easton Lofts in Arma, Kansas, celebrating birthday number 11 this year. Happy birthday, Easton.
Also celebrating number 11 is Lily Carlskin in Pittsburgh. A very happy birthday to you.
Layton High School, turning 13 years old this year in Stockton, Missouri.
And we've got Megan Westoff celebrating number 26 in Parsons. Happy birthday, Megan.
Jared Watson celebrating birthday number 26 as well, and Jared is in Weir, Kansas.
And then this guy has known me since I was just a baby. He's one of my brother's friends, so he's come around the house more than once when I was a kid. This is Doug Hodges celebrating birthday number 51. And the terrifying thing is my brother and his friend's age, it reminds me that I'm getting older as well. So I can't give him a hard time. Happy birthday, Doug.
Happy birthday, Doug. And happy birthday to Don Braden, celebrating birthday number 75 this year. Don is in Fredonia, Kansas.
And we've got Judy Troike celebrating number 80 in Girard. It says happy birthday from all of us at the Lakeview Cafe. Looks like she's setting out for a good time for a birthday.
All right, love that ride there. And Susan Phelps in Pittsburgh, happy birthday to you with love from Sarah and Justin and your favorite boys, Cole, Jeremiah, Bryce, and Zaid.
And we've got Brad and Carrie LaRue celebrating their 37th year of wedded bliss in Chanute. A very happy anniversary to you, Brad and Carrie. And we want to make sure that we can continue to celebrate with you and you can continue to celebrate with us. Tanya, how do they do that?
All they have to do is send us an email with their birthday pics and all the details, include the name and the date, of course. We definitely need that. And the age, if you'd like to share that, to birthdays at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Sounds pretty simple. And something else that's really easy is signing up for the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website to do it. You get great deals from local businesses. Additionally, you get a nice birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com today and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. Well, coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we've got an amazing story about a 6-month-old puppy that leaps out of a moving car on the freeway and lived to tell the tale. Jeannie Moose brings us this underdog story on Fox 14 at 7. Here's what we're looking at today. Let me back this up just a wee bit because I want to show you something here. We are looking at the possibility, low-end chance, of some strong, low-grade severe storms south of I-44. So you can see the primary threat could be some small hail and maybe some gusty winds, and that'll be later tonight because we've got a cold front that's just going to play havoc with us today before it sweeps on through. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line. Sun is rising, looking pretty good out there. Same at 7th and range line. We're sitting at 39 in Joplin right now. A few clouds in the sky, but not bad otherwise. The cold front, you can tell where it is. We've got 31 Yates Center, Iola, 32 Chanute Parsons. You head southeast, we got 40 Miami, 41 Anderson and Grove, 39 Neosho, 38 in Carthage. And that front is going to be moving in a strange way. It could sweep through and cool some of us down, before it returns back north as a warm front and warms some of us back up. So that's why for the forecast in terms of temperatures, we're going with right about along where that front should be. We will all see the clouds begin to increase through the morning. Temperatures creeping into the lower to mid 40s. We're looking at highs around Joplin of 52, but out to the northwest behind this front, say Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Yates Center, we could see highs in the upper 30s, maybe lower 40s. But if you go southeast against, say, Anderson, Cassville, Monette, there's the possibility we could see temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60. Mostly cloudy skies, though, for all of us. Winds gusting 20 to 25, so not as bad as yesterday. And then again this evening, between about 9 and midnight, we could see some showers and thunderstorms along and south of I-44. We're all going to drop back down to this low of 31. So here's what I'm talking about with this front. So it's off to our northwest. It could sweep through as we go through the afternoon, so it might even cool some of us that are going to be warmer down briefly. And as we go through the afternoon, it could start to retreat back to the north-northwest. And as it does so, then it would officially become a warm front, and it becomes somewhat stationary. We get those thunderstorm chances, and as the temperatures drop on the other side of this, we could see some light snow, maybe a light wintry mix in our northwestern counties before this whole system finally starts to kick out of here. No major accumulations expected out of that, but could lead to some slick spots on the roadways. 35 tomorrow, still chilly Friday, 42, and then we start to warm up heading into next week as we get close to the 60s and start to see some additional rain chances. We're back right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Nikki Haley makes it official. She's running for president in 2024. Former South Carolina governor and United Nations ambassador announced her candidacy in a video posted on Twitter. 51-year-old daughter of Indian immigrants becomes the first major challenger to former President Donald Trump for the Republican nomination. Other Republicans, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former Vice President Mike Pence, are also expected to join the race. Egg prices have soared more than 70% over the past year. That's according to government inflation data released on Tuesday. Higher production costs and a deadly avian flu outbreak are partly to blame for the high cost of eggs, but some egg producers have raked in high profits amidst the turmoil. This has sparked demands for a federal investigation into possible price gouging. The American College of Physicians recognizes a Pittsburgh State University physician with the high-ranking award of mastership. Dr. Kathleen Sandness is grateful for the award, but says her pride comes from working with students and the staff at PSU's Health Center. She attributes her success to her willingness to learn and adapt. And one Fort Scott couple has enjoyed their share of Valentine's Days. Larry and Jonna K. Ballou are celebrating their 64th anniversary this year. The couple met at a skating rink at Fort Scott in 1957 when Larry asked Jonna to skate with him. The couple has traveled together to almost every state in the United States by car. They say when traveling, it's important not to hurry to get to the destination, but to enjoy the time traveling with each other. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Quick check of that forecast. We're going to see on the average temperatures pushing in the lower to mid 40s through the morning. All of us seeing increasing clouds. Around the Joplin area, highs about 52. Some of us a little warmer, some of us a little cooler. We'll see mostly cloudy skies, wind gusts upwards of about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Some showers and thunderstorms. A couple of those could be on the stronger side along and south of I-44 between 9 and midnight. We drop back down to a low of 31. And as we look ahead, some of our northwestern counties get a little bit of light snow this evening and overnight. No major accumulations, but slick spots possible. Then we're only 35 tomorrow. Still cool Friday and Saturday, and we start warming up as we head into next week.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a not your average salad. That's what it's called in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. The cost of car insurance is up nearly 15% from last year, and rates continue to climb. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Manny Bjorquez takes a look at what's behind the spike.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, it's another Wildcat Wednesday. We've got Catherine Pinto here to tell us all about the Walk with Ease event and how you can participate.
Plus, we've got even more interviews as Mary Kay Caldwell from Paw Prints on the Heartland stops by to tell us about an open house for their new clinic that you are invited to.
That's right.
It's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to see you again today at noon.